The best part is, a guy with one side of his mouth that doesn't work is telling us how perfect creation is.
Yes. One guy
Hi,
with
everybody.
Coke
I'm Ken
bottle.
Holbein, and I'm here to tell you that we are a grass crystal and a wonderful spirit. Are you kidding me? You look like Dentistry the Guy. 1 second, let me drag my foot over to my plush dinosaur and I'll explain how perfect creation is. Oh, pooping.
God awful movies.
Welcome back to the GAMcast, where each week we sample another selection from Christian cinema because we have too many inside jokes to stop now. I'll be your host, No Illusions, and we're coming to you live from Dallas, Texas. Say hello, Dallas. Yes, and for the folks back home, by the way, we've managed to get a crowd that size during a Cowboys game in the playoffs. How about that shit? And of course, joining me from stage right, please welcome my good friend Heath Enright.
All right, hello. Yes, and can we get a slow clap real quick for Cameron, who brought me the scotch? Yes. Well, slower. Yes, now speed it up. All the way. Okay, yes, there we go. Excellent. Well done. My favorite scotch. She went to Louisiana the last 10 minutes. I don't know how she did it. Good work.
So this is Heath's way, by the way, of telling everyone back home that if you come to the live show and bring him some scotch, you will get a shout out.
If it's Ardbeg Weedsdale or whatever it's called, yeah, that's the one.
And, of course, also joining us tonight, please put your hands together for my bad friend Eli Bosnick. All right, I hesitate to ask, Eli, but where are the pom-poms?
You don't want to know.
Okay. And why are you wearing a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader outfit?
My tryout went bad. But legally, I own this now.
Oh, they won't. Yeah, I can see why they wouldn't take it back.
The EMT said he had to cut it off, so...
Well, I'm hoping we have an EMT in the back that can help you because I was hoping for real clothes.
That'd be great.
Hey, oh, Jesus. Yes, you get your money's worth. You come to the live show, you get to see Eli's ass cheeks. And by the way, I strongly encourage you to check out the God Awful Movies Facebook page after this, where I will be posting the video of Heath trying to get that outfit on Eli backstage.
That was a task. Did you need help?
Oh, Jesus. Yes. Dressing Eli is not a one-man job, let me tell you. All right.
Available for purchase. We also have mugs. I forgot shoes.
And this is why it is more than a one-man job. All right, here we go. He's got his Velcro.
Do you need help with the shoes? You got it?
I love that you have Velcro shoes and can't be bothered to tie and untie them. That's amazing.
So it's the Tim Ferriss. 40-hour work week.
So, all right, so tell us, Heath, what will we be breaking down today?
We watched Science Falsely So-Called.
Oh.
I see you've seen it.
You can tell who's seen it. Yeah, exactly.
Good deal of you have obviously seen it. It's the Young Earth creationism documentary in which hate pastor Matt Powell debunks evolution by debating a homeless person. It's pretty great. It's the religious version of a grown man who made a movie about how he got his yellow belt by winning a karate tournament against his class of 8-year-old karate students.
Yes, it is. Wow. And Eli, how bad was this movie?
Well, if you love YouTube commenters, but you wish they had their own documentary, you will love this movie. This is Matt Powell making it physically impossible to feel bad for him.
Yes.
The movie. He is a mentally ill 22-year-old child raised without education or opportunity. And by the end of this movie, I was like, fuck Matt Powell. I would root against him if he was the protagonist of Educated. I'd be like, get her back. Come on, Dad. Hit her with the pickup. Okay, a couple of you also read Educated. Good. She's nice.
Okay, so I had to share this one with you guys. This is amazing. This is the description of this film in Matty P's own words, okay? And as I read this to you, this is what comes up under the YouTube video. I need you to envision this with like a Trumpian randomness in the capitalization. So here it is, quote, "This film debunks the theory of evolution with science." Where are we going to find the science? Oh, well, we will look to the scriptures to see what they teach about the sciences, the origin of life, and so forth. We will, wait, there's more.
Al.
Yeah, exactly. We will go face to face with the skeptics.
Plural.
Yep. Take a deep look at the fossil evidence for the flood as described in the Bible. We will also take this journey with a very well-known scientist, Dr. Kent Hovind. And he concludes by saying, we will see if the Bible's predictions about science are true and ultimately follow the evidence where it leads. So he accidentally was right at the end. All right, so without further ado, is there anything you guys want to nominate this one for being the best at being the worst at?
Oh, all right. I'm going to say best, worst, lying.
Okay.
90% of the movie, it's Matt Powell just making shit up.
Yes.
Just nonsense. And then he prints it out on a piece of paper, the shit he made up, and then he hands it to a homeless atheist person and is like, what do you got? No argument? The paper's got the guy in a chokehold by the end of it somehow. But it's all lying, like easily verifiable lying. Like if you just said Siri before everything Matt Powell says in this movie, you would win the debate with Matt Powell. Occurred to me yesterday that would win. I'm going to do that forever, like for a lot of people I know.
Yeah.
They start talking about the Fed. Siri. Go ahead. Talk about the Fed.
Make your smart lady go away.
Yeah. So you already alluded to this, but I'm going to go with best, worst, atheist. Now, at first I saw this and I got excited, right? Because throughout this movie, he interviews a guy who calls himself the Raging Atheist. He's a YouTube personality. Maybe you've heard of him. Yeah, he's got 3 subscribers and 55 views on his most popular video. And at first I got super excited because I'm like, oh shit, I was one alphabetical station away from making it in a Matt Powell movie.
He's like Borat Noah, but not talented.
Exactly. But as we will discuss often, he is worse at atheisting than Matt Powell is.
And I'm going to go with best, worst reaction to a Stephen Hawking quote. If you've seen this movie, you know what I mean. If you haven't, wait for it.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, I'll tell you what, I can tell a lot of you are desperate to check the score and don't want to be rude, so we're going to pause for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll dive into all the professional bigots that are science, falsely so-called.
Hi, I'm Heath Henry.
And I'm Matt Powell, and welcome to my movie, Stocks Falsely Nuh-uh, They Aren't. Heath, why don't you tell them why you're here today?
Well, I'm here to tell him about Robin Hood.
The known criminal.
Nope, not a guy. Also, not him. No, the app.
Short for apartment.
Also, nope. So why don't you just let me finish talking, Matt, and then we'll get to whatever you want to talk.
No.
Okay, Robin Hood is an investing app that lets you buy and sell stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptos, all commission-free.
commission.
Don't say Gordon.
The
Damn it.
police officer.
Nope. Okay. So other brokerages charge up to $10 for every trade, but Robinhood doesn't charge commission fees. Trade stocks and keep all your profits.
All my profits. Matthew, Luke, John.
Nope. Not
Moses.
those kind of profits. Robinhood has easy to understand charts and market data, and you can place a trade in just 4 taps on your smartphone.
Nothing I own is smart. Is that a problem?
Well, that's correct anyway. So Robinhood is giving listeners a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help build your portfolio. Sign up at awful.robinhood.com.
That's awful.robinhood.com. You know what, Heath Enright? I'm in. Clickety click click clickety clack.
Nothing there, Matt. You're just making that noise.
I'm unwell.
You are unwell. Correct. What's happening with your hair?
That's where I keep all my fear.
Oh, just on the right side is the fear?
Yeah.
Right side
I'm not
of your
afraid
face?
of anything on the left. It's like Bird Box, but one eye is open.
As we mentioned in the intro of today's show, Science Falsely So-Called is a mixture of Matt Powell calmly pointing out what he believes to be mistakes in evolution, accompanied by the shrieking insanity of Steve Anderson. We here at God Awful Movies couldn't help but wonder how other documentaries might apply that model.
Here we see the wild gazelle as it stalks through the forest looking for its mate.
What kind of idiot stalks through the forest? And these atheists say I'm not in a forest.
On the streets of New York, a new kind of artist
It's a deconstruction of street art representing modernity itself. Stupid.
This week on Serial.
Even I know Adnan did it.
And we're back for the breakdown. We didn't really go anywhere. You guys know. Don't tell anybody. It's a secret. Okay, so we're going to start this thing off with a picture of the DVD artwork. Okay, so this is a goddamn YouTube video. And still Matt Powell paid somebody to put DVD artwork together, and then he thought, fuck, ain't nobody ever going to see it. It's a YouTube video. So the start of the movie is actually just a long pan over his very groovy DVD art. And then we get Hitler.
Right away. I literally wrote down, all right, I'm just going to fire up this stopwatch, see how long before they go full God when I'm quite... Hitler! Like, who had 0 seconds? Evolution is Hitler. First goddamn shot in the movie. It was amazing.
It's literally the first word spoken or written in the movie. The very first word in this movie is Hitler. Like any good discussion of evolution.
Absolutely. No, fun fact, the Holocaust, it was all about Jewish people having inferior beaks for cracking open tree nuts. That was the problem. It wasn't as much about anti-Semitism per se.
Yeah.
It was a beak thing.
And also, by the way, this quote comes from a fellow by the name of Arthur Keith. I had never heard of him.
Literally, what comes up when you Google Arthur Keith is, this guy was a racist.
Yes.
That's the Google summary.
Yes.
They were like, racist and scientist, Arthur Keith, and literally, Google, Wikipedia wants you to know, racist first, scientist second.
Yes.
Looks like every science teacher from me and Heath's hometown.
Yeah, no, he does. And he talks like it too, yeah. Okay, but since we're doing a movie about evolution, we've already been through Hitler. I guess the next logical place to go is Columbine. I shit you not. We get done with the Hitler quote, and then it's Columbine footage. This is a movie about evolution.
Yeah, just going to fire up this stopwatch. See how long before we find out that evolution murders 13 children in Colorado. Evolution is Columbine. 5 seconds in. Unbelievable.
Oh, God. And, of course, Matt Powell is narrating over the top of this, and he sounds like a fucking... You ever, like, have a kid on the phone that's trying to do grown-up voice? Right? That's Matt Powell throughout this fucking movie. And he mentions Hitler again here, which means that we are 2 minutes into the movie by the time we reach our second Hitler reference. This ratio will keep up for the next 8 minutes, by the way.
Yeah. And you know how lots of the movies we do have like fun Nazi references? Not this time. This movie was just like sad. And it's like normally the documentaries, it's like idiot interview, but then it's like interspliced with like, you know, a cutaway to a cartoon with like Hitler punching a monkey in the face and then like back to the thing. They don't weave it together. It's just all stupid people talking.
I feel like you and I are watching very different
you don't remember?
movies.
Okay. Maybe we are.
So he starts talking about how evolution inspired the Columbine shooting. He says, well, one of them was wearing a shirt what said natural selection on it. That's from evolution.
Yeah. Like, I wanted to see a flash cut to like Eric Harris or Dylan Klebold, and he's just like that morning being like, Mom, where's my shirt that says God told me to murder? Where is it? Honey, it's in the wash. Oh, fuck. All right. Fine. I'll wear my evolution shirt, but people are going to be confused. I'm trying to do a thing. Fuck. Fine.
During this whole section, I was just amazed how adorable it was when Columbine was our biggest shooting. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
Like watching baby videos of America.
The good old days, yeah.
And here's the fun thing about Columbine footage. Stay with me. It used to be sad. It's still sad. But now when you watch it, you're like, what were we thinking with the 90s outfits? Girls in suspenders? What? Okay, maybe it's just me. Fine.
And I also love, because Matt Powell says at this point, he's like, he's talking about how much evolution these kids were being taught in high school. And he's saying, like, ergo, evolution caused them to do this, right? Because that's the only thing they were learning in school?
Yeah, they were heavily indoctrinated in evolutionary teaching.
That's the exact quote.
That's the exact, like, are we sure this wasn't a Euclidean geometry massacre or like Newtonian physics massacre? Really hated Catcher in the Rye massacre? I don't know.
And of course, they go straight to the lie here about how the Columbine shooters were asking people, do you believe in God, and shooting the ones that say yes. Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but this came out immediately after Columbine. There was a parent of one of the kids that was murdered who made this claim, wrote a book about it. It's entirely untrue. It's just some shit that those parents made up, right? But that's not going to stop Matt Powell from quoting it.
No, it doesn't even make sense, too. It's like she got shot 4 times, and then they walked over and were like, do you believe in God? And they would have spared her life somehow after shooting her 4 times if she had said no?
Yeah.
I know.
Like, yeah.
Start to do medvac on her. Oh, she doesn't believe in God.
Yeah, right. Right.
And to make this terrible, because it is sad, right? Even though the dad is wrong, it's sad because he's like, my little girl died. And you're like, sadness, human emotions. But then, just to make you not feel anything for this movie, they go, also they shot a black kid, but you know.
Moving on. Yeah, they throw that in the end.
Evolution killed MLK, just so you know. Yeah.
And again, this is what's so wonderful about Matt Powell, right? Because he's so young, and we were firing up this movie, and I was like, man, he's just a kid. Maybe I shouldn't choose.
Evolution caused Columbine.
Yeah, he can go fuck himself.
Yeah.
Matt Powell can go fuck himself. It's crazy.
Yeah, Eli sends me a message going, are you sure we should? Never mind. So, and then we get a quote directly from Hitler, because we're 3 minutes in, so it's time for the third Hitler reference, but it's an apocryphal Hitler quote.
No, it's way too, it's, if you let me control the textbooks, I will control the state. It might as well be, if you let me control the textbooks, I will control the state. I'm Hitler. Hitler.
If you let me control the textbooks, I'll control. That sounds familiar. Didn't Greg Abbott say that too? Wasn't that a Greg Abbott quote? You guys, I'm pretty sure Greg Abbott said that too.
Well, but the other thing too is, like, even if this is a real quote, isn't Matt Powell's whole movie about how we should change what's in the textbooks? Like, isn't that what he's trying to do with this movie? Isn't that the primary? So what we're saying is Matt Powell is Hitler.
There's a clip for you, Matt, in your response video.
All right, so then we get part 1. There are 7 goddamn parts. We get part 1, the founders of evolution.
LLC.
Yeah. That's what he seems to think it is. And damn it if Kent Hovind doesn't show up at this point.
Now, if you were wondering if Kent Hovind would open his mouth all the way
No.
for this movie, no, he's saving the right half for his own movie. He sounds like your uncle doing a Dr. Evil impersonation. Just come on, Scott. Durka, 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 durka.
He's like cross-eyed, but for mouth. He's cross-mouthed. Yeah.
Well, and I love the argument that he's making. This is the opening argument for Kent Hovind. He's like, well, you know, people just refer to the book as On the Origin of Species, but the real title is On the Origin of Species by Means of Natural Selection or the Preservation of Favored Races in the Struggle for Life. But evolutionists don't like to say that because it makes it clear that Darwin was a racist. I'm like, oh, is that why we don't use the full 21-word title every time we refer to the most important book in the history of biology? Thank you for clearing that up.
Most people don't know this. The full title is Origin of the Species, Chinese People Drive Bad. That's
Like, motherfucker, I call this show GAM. That's how lazy I am.
Look at these turtles now kill all the Jewish people. You didn't list the whole thing. Now look at Mitch McConnell. Keep going. Great.
And as if Kent Hovind didn't already have my rage boner up, Steve Cooking Can Be Fun Anderson shows up here and pumps a blood vessel in it.
Steve, like if Hitler was super incompetent, that's Steve Anderson.
Yes.
That's Steve
Yes.
fucking Anderson.
The person that you've only ever heard of because of the terribly bigoted shit he says. Yeah. And then, by the way, Steve Anderson shows up in the movie condemning racism, which is how we know we have folded in on ourselves. And then we meet the raging atheist. I had high hopes for this guy. I really did.
He's the best.
okay. Atheists, bring it in, guys. We need to talk. You all saw me in my little cowboy outfit. I'm one of you. We need to stop making public appearances, except for Cara Santa Maria, for like 5 years. Okay, guys? So when you want to shave your neck, what you do is you start at the jawline here.
Jesus Christ.
Apparently it needs to be said. And then you go down an inch and listen, down an inch and you're going to be on TV. Down an inch and a half. Then just across from there. Then turn the blade sideways. Kidding.
All right, you're making Andrew nervous, Eli. Get back up here. Also, this is where we get a quote from the co-founder of evolution. Yeah, right. And yet he's not talking about Alfred Russel Wallace here, by the way. But I guess the co-founder of evolution said that spontaneous generation must be true.
Which he did not.
No, he didn't. Again, apocryphal bullshit quote.
It's like a bullshitception because he's like the co-founder of Evolution. You know, when they started the company, Evolution Inc., Matt Hakel, he said, boy, if anyone ever finds any gaps in my scientific record, I believe that Jesus is my Lord and Savior. I'm Hitler. Wait, no.
I'm Greg Abbott. Wait.
Damn it.
Fuck. Pump fake.
All right. So now to really condemn evolution, Kent Hovind is going to introduce us to Ernst Haeckel. And he starts it off by going like, well, Ernst Haeckel was a contemporary of Darwin. And then he just stops like, see, contemporary, that's guilty right there, motherfucker. And then they start talking about, so Ernst Haeckel, if you've never heard of him, he was a early proponent of evolution, and he did a lot of work with embryos. He drew like, he would find these little embryos and he would draw them and show how like virtually all animals looked the same in the early embryonic stages, right? And it's the artwork that he did it was so influential that it's still used today in textbooks. And according to this movie, Ernst Haeckel was convicted of fraud. That is not true. Again, this is Googleable shit, right? But he's like, he was convicted of fraud and we still use his pictures in textbooks.
And the best part is, this is such a common lie that when you look him up on Wikipedia, there's a section where Wikipedia is like, fraud, and you're like, oh, I guess he actually did it. And Wikipedia is like, Never happened. I don't know why people keep saying this. There's like 3 guys on our chat page who will not stop, so...
Yeah, no, seriously, I Googled it. The very first thing that comes up is Ernst Haeckel, fraud is proven. That's from creation.com. The next one is Haeckel's embryos, fraud not proven. That's from the University of Chicago. Take your pick. He also says, by the way, that all textbooks from evolution come from Ernst Haeckel, the Lamarckian. So, yeah. So we get this little bit of drone footage, and then we see Matt Powell in his church preaching to an empty goddamn room. All right? Now, they'll never show you that it's an empty room. We'll just see Matt Powell, but you can tell from the fucking echo that it's an empty room and from the complete lack of reaction to anything he says.
Crazy Billionaire remake. I'm just going to hire a janitor to walk behind Matt and just be like... Mr. Powell, you have 20 minis. Turns on a vacuum. Boom! Oh. Come on, Hervé. I gave you those Chuck E. Cheese tokens. It's my Matt Powell. Because he wants a hug. Probably does need a hug.
Yeah, no, that would help.
But the thing he says here that I love so much is these scientists set out to prove that God doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So it's a weird way to try and prove that God doesn't exist.
Yeah, it would have been nice to be a fly on the wall in that meeting. Gentlemen, fellow scientists, welcome. Today's the day that we prove God does not exist.
Here. Huzzah! Yes, let's do this.
So, does anybody have any recommendations how we're going to go about proving that there is no God?
We could think about the words omniscient and omnipotent, and, that's logically impossible, so that would...
That's good. Or we could look at the many, many obvious mistakes in the Bible, like stars falling out of the sky.
We could prove that bats aren't birds.
They aren't.
Or the earth was not created in 7 days.
Giants! Giants don't exist.
They don't?
Okay, guys, these are all good ideas, but how about this? We posit incredibly early science about natural selection, and then over a very long period, we spend literally forever closing the ever smaller gaps that people fit their God into.
I love it.
That sounds fantastic.
Awesome.
Yep.
Sure hope we don't inspire Hitler.
It loses something of the magic when you see it live, right? The doodly doos. All right. So now it's time for this. It's time for the raging atheist to try to explain how evolution works to Matt Powell. He doesn't know, and Matt's not listening, so it's uncomfortable. And he said, there's one point, I'm sorry, I've got to point this out. There's one, okay, so one of the little various scenes that we're going to see over and over again in this movie is this thing where Matt Powell or Steve Anderson will just be sitting around in a room full of Steve Anderson and Matt Powell clones while everyone in the room nods at what they're saying. Like intellectual hype men, I guess. Yeah, that sounds very accurate. And one of the guys at one point here pops up and he goes, a lot of atheists make fun of us for believing in a book that was written by man. And I got to say, that's not what we're making fun of you for, dude. I don't know if you're listening to this episode, but it's the hair.
Yeah, he has 3 hairlines, and we think we make fun of him because he doesn't believe in evolution.
We'll get around to that eventually.
It looks like Johnny Depp in a one-man show of Benjamin Button, and he's like, it's because of the evolution, right?
Yeah.
Also, do they not make fun of scientists for operating like a religion without realizing what they're doing?
Over and over again.
It's like, if you look at the worst scientists, you'll notice they operate on faith. Fuck. Okay. That keeps happening. Can we cut this? You're still rolling?
Well, and then to try to make up for that, right? To try to recover from that, he's like, also, you know why we have suicide and abortion? Evolution.
It's like he does a wrong lightning round. He's like, suicide has gone up since evolution's been taught in schools.
Nope.
Abortion has gone up since evolution has been taught in schools.
Well, yeah, technically, because it was illegal when we started doing that. But yeah.
Death and murder have gone up since we started teaching evolution.
Death has gone up. It's gotten to the point where 100% of people are doing it. Fucking idiots. And then,
It's like Bird Box. If you look at it's Finch Box. If you look at evolution, you throw yourself under a bus.
Yeah, obviously, clearly. And okay, at this point, though, we're 7 minutes in, so it's time for another apocryphal Hitler quote. This is the make the lie big, make the lie simple quote, which again is not, I don't know who the fuck said it, but it wasn't Hitler.
That was Jesus, no?
Well, at this point, because I started Googling everything he said in this movie because everything turns out to be wrong. I was like, at a certain point, we're going to find out this guy's name is Mike fucking Powers, right? He was getting things wrong for no goddamn reason. The quote works whether or not it's Hitler. But apparently we're done with the founders of evolution because it's time for part 2 of the film, The Origin of Life. And they throw a quote up for this one, and I don't even remember what the quote is, but I only point it out because it's one of these indicators, we get this a lot in Christian movies, that they're not counting on a lot of strong A-team readers in their audience. It's 9 words, it's up there for 14 minutes.
It's on there for an hour and a half.
Yeah. Little pronunciation guide
at the bottom. It's like, you can pause this video for as long as you need. Underneath that, you can pause this video to read about pausing this video for as long as you need.
All right, and then, of course, Matt Powell explains the second law of thermodynamics to us, which, according to Matt Powell, says, and I quote, ordered things go towards disorder. So he has disproved the existence of sand dunes here, among other things. Oh, and he's got a quote. He's very fond of this quote that Stephen Hawking said. And again, I didn't look up the quote. He's probably making this shit up too. But he quotes Stephen Hawking as having said that if, there was a ever so slight change in the rate of expansion of the Big Bang to the tune of 1 in 100,000 million, the universe as we know it couldn't exist. Which Matt Powell will use for the rest of the show to argue that there is a 1 in 100,000 million chance that God doesn't exist.
Name a bigger number. Too slow. You can't. Exactly.
Well, what's the best is Matt really struggles with this number every time, so he has to hand sign it out for himself. If you watch the movie, he goes, 1 in every 100, got it, nailed it, right over here on the left. 100,000, that's 3 zeros more. Shh, don't lose it, Matt. Come on. Million, another 3 zeros. Million, another 3 zeros. And then he stares at the raging atheist like,
And then he's like, sorry, that was confusing. Watch me throw 6 dice.
Yes.
There we go. 20 days, 6 dice in slow motion. Now, do you believe in God or still no?
Well, and up to this point, by the way, because we've already spoiled it for you, we've told you that the raging atheist is just a crazy person. We didn't know it at this point, right? I'd never heard of the guy, but, when Ben Stein did his Expelled movie, right, he interviewed Richard Dawkins for it. So you can interview a competent atheist and then just cut it to make that person look stupid or look like he doesn't know the answer. So that's what I thought was happening. This is the first time we realized the raging atheist is fucking crazy. Oh. Right? Because this guy, at this point, he's going, well, could have been aliens what made the universe, right?
Oh, he was seconds away from, the Jewish lizard aliens invented the universe out of turquoise in 1975. Yeah. He was right there.
Yeah. No, I started thinking, maybe Matt Powell just bought his brother-in-law one of them devil shirts instead of prayer over the receipt later or something.
It's every conversation you've ever had after you've bought hard drugs but aren't allowed to leave yet. Just like, Ooh. Better get to doing this cocaine you just sold me, huh? Nope, that's fine. Okay, we're talking about the Fed still. All right. That your 19-year-old girlfriend walking through in just one of your shirts? That's cool. That's cool. I don't want to come here anymore. Hi.
This couch is sticky.
How's high school? Math is hard.
By the way, you don't know this, but he's personally attacking Heath right now. You don't. No, I'm kidding. The lady, the lovely young woman that Heath is with, is almost a quarter of a century old. So
More than that.
Heath, are you looking in different directions to pretend we're not here in the middle of a live show?
So the Fed is a Ponzi scheme.
And this is where Matt makes one of my favorite arguments in the movie, right? Where he understands the Big Bang so badly that he says, I mean, the Big Bang created the universe. When has an explosion ever created anything? And he looks at the raging atheist like, and the raging atheist looks back at him like, and there's this great moment where two people who understand nothing that either of them have said, like I wanted them to kiss, just moment like this.
well, yeah, no, and also Steve Anderson cuts in to make the same point about how explosions can't create things. I don't know. I mean, I feel like they can create rubble at the very least.
But Steve Anderson is always speaking in such an emergency. You always think he's about to act it out because he's like, an explosion creates nothing. And he's going to pull out the big cartoon T, push down on it. See? Nothing. I'm well.
I also love how often it just seems like Steve Anderson is baiting us. Because he says something like, if I said that all the universe was in one little tiny spot, you'd look at me and say you're an idiot. Well, I was saying that.
Either way.
I can't pretend that I wasn't saying that. And you did just, well, okay.
Nazis sure do love to call me fat.
And then, of course, we get a great quote from the Bible about how foolish all of us atheists are.
But the best part is they forgot to leave out the second sentence where it's obviously someone ranting at their Kmart greeter, right? Because fool says in his heart there is no God. It's weak, right? It's really awesome. It's like, I'm smart and you're stupid. But the second half of that quote is, they have never done anything nice for anyone.
Yes.
Right? And they put the whole quote up because they don't know that second part shows how crazy they are.
But, to be fair, he actually attributed a quote correctly at this point, which was nice. That was a big step up for Matt Powell. He also, so what's going on in the film here is he's trying to drill in with the raging atheist to have this guy explain Big Bang cosmology to him. This homeless atheist guy he found on a bench somewhere to explain Big Bang cosmology, and he can't in a soundbite, and therefore it's untrue. right?
He's like, how would order emerge from chaos? In a tweet, you have 3 seconds. Go. Time ran out while I was asking you the question. I won the debate.
All right. So then we get some constipated asshole telling us that evolution is a religion. And I'm thinking at this point, okay, I don't agree with you, but can we at least both agree that would make it a bad thing? Right? Like, how often can you say, well, you're terrible, you're like us, kind of? Jesus. And, of course, they explain to us that we ain't never seen evolution happen any no-how, so how could we know? And first of all, yes, we have. But secondly, I've never seen fucking Brazil, right? That doesn't make Brazil a religion.
But... so this guy is Matt Powell's dad, we think. Because the last name
100%.
is Powell. And I think he thinks that evolution is like you're holding a duck and it's just like, I'm a guy now. Was I a duck a second ago?
Well, sir,
Yeah.
Eli, let's not try to impugn this guy's scientific credentials too much. There was a periodic table floating around on the screen as he was talking, so obviously this guy knows his science. And then he says, I believe it's Steve Anderson that cuts in here. He says, this and that just can't magically come into being through the Big Bang. And he has to add through the Big Bang because halfway through it, he realizes that, oh, wait, fuck, magically came into being is my argument, isn't it? It can't magically come into being through the Big Bang. It would need a magical space wizard of some sort to, yeah.
Picturing him in Harry Potter class. Leviosa!
Yeah, he also explains the 3 steps of science to us at this point.
Yeah. It has to be testable, Has to be provable. That's kind of the same. Stupid. And the periodic table behind me. Science. So they keep doing that too. They keep listing things like has to be. No, it's never any of the things they said. They just make it up.
No, they never get anything right at all.
Edible.
And then
Hammock.
diaphanous. That was just for Heath. And then we get a quote from another insane Christian guy that agrees with him. So either they're right or multiple people are stupid. Okay, so it's getting less and less likely. And then we reach the absolute low point of my life, which is when Steve Anderson starts explaining to me how science works. But they're trying to make the complexity argument here, and this is such a stupid fucking argument, because they say, they're talking about, look, your body has 100 trillion cells. That's way too much for not God. And they start talking about the complexity. I'm like, look, if I just took 2,000 toothpicks, dropped them on the fucking floor, the resulting pattern would be complex as hell. Right? For complexity, you don't need a designer. Complexity happens on its own all the fucking time.
But more importantly, if you threw those toothpicks on the floor, we could convince Matt Powell that's a baby. Get it, Matt? No. Sharp.
I also loved Kent Hovide's example.
Oh, God.
Of the human body being super complex. He's like, look how amazing we are. Watch. I stubbed my toe. Owie! That's it.
Yeah. Yes.
How did my face fucking know to say owie so fast? And Jesus.
The best part is, a guy with one side of his mouth that doesn't work is telling us how perfect creation is.
Yes. One guy
everybody.
with
I'm Ken Holbein, and I'm here to tell you that we are a grass crystal and a wonderful spirit. Are you kidding me? You look like Dentistry the Guy. 1 second. Let me drag my foot over to my plush dinosaur, and I'll explain how perfect creation is. Oh. Pooping. Steve, can you get that? Oh, he's already on it. Look at him go. Why? Help me!
Also, I love the example that Kent Hovind uses here, too, because this is just another example of this movie getting shit wrong, that there's no benefit for them, to them for even saying it in the first place. Kent Hovind says at one point, he's talking about how many cells there are in your body, and he's like, and each one of them cells is more complicated than a spaceship, the most complex device ever created by man. No? No, I feel like the LHC would maybe have that. So this is where Matty poses to the raging atheist. He says, all right, now look, here's how I'm going to disprove this evolution thing to you. I could bring you a whole beaker full of DNA and RNA and skin, and you couldn't make it into a living thing. Right? That's his argument here.
Why would you be able to do that?
Look, I've said that to people before, but it's been a threat, not a... I can bring you a soup can full of DNA and membranes is a solid threat, let me tell you. There is a reason why Matt Dillahunty is sitting 3 rows back. Hey, Meg. Yeah. Want some DNA soup? You guys want some?
Never take DNA soup from Eli.
I feel like...
Never tell me that.
You remember the miming he was doing about Steve Anderson? It's like that. I feel like this argument came about because Matt Powell had a soup can full of skin and had to come up with an excuse.
His dad comes in. Matt, hon, what's going on? For atheism. Good.
I also love at one point here, he says, scientists have never created life. And I'm like, come on, man, they get laid occasionally. I know it doesn't happen often. All right, so then we get the title drop, right? We get the Timothy quote where the Bible tells us to watch out for science, falsely so-called. So we understand why he had that awkward and clunky fucking title to begin with. And Steve Anderson comes in to back him up on this. He's like, the Bible talks about science falsely so-called, so there must be such a thing as science falsely so-called. And I'm like, it's this fucking documentary, dude. But then I'm like, wait a minute. Are you also saying that there must be unicorns and 7-headed dragons and lion, horse, locust birds?
Those are words. Those are words. You just said it.
Yeah,
That's
must
real.
be. Also, and this is something that you get in every creationist documentary, every anti-evolution, every anti-science documentary that you'll ever watch. They spend the entire time telling you about how you can't trust scientists, and then they'll throw up quotes from scientists to try to make their fucking point. Now, they're always quote-mined bullshit, or they're not really scientists.
Or they're crazy scientists from another field.
Yeah, right.
That you can play a trivia game with your friends at home. Just be like, all right, what do you guys think? Quoted out of context or crazy scientist? That one's crazy scientist. Yeah, it turns out he's a vacuum cleaner maker who wrote a whole book about evolution. They can't stop you legally, it turns out. Dr. Lee Strobel up there.
And again, Steve Anderson's trying to shit all over evolution and atheism by saying that it takes faith. Again, no, it doesn't, but can we agree that that would be bad, right? He says, we all have faith in something. It's just them scientists demand that their faith be backed up by demonstrable evidence. I'm fucking this up. Shit. Then we get the sweatiest living human. That guy who had the giant rivers of sweat in his eye.
Have you ever seen someone sweat so much you think they're crying?
Yes.
Well, then you should watch this movie. No one at any point in filming was like, hey man, you look like you just watched the end of Sophie's Choice. Do you want to wipe off your crazy, shiny, wet face before we start the film?
He would not like to do that. He would absolutely, the flop sweat is pooling in the bags under his eyes, like heavy. You could see it. Like, I thought his eyes were gonna flip inside out like a bamboo water clock at some point. It was like, blam. It was really close.
I thought we were going to zoom in and see the bad guy from Mad Max Fury Road closing a gateway somewhere. That is enough. Do not let water control you.
Well, and then this guy... And then this guy says, he's like, well, the one thing I would ask them evolutionists if they'd talk to me is where did life begin in the first place? And I'm like, oh, so you changed the subject? So, well done, sir. And then we get... I have to say, not only my favorite moment of this film, but quite possibly my favorite moment of all time. This is where he throws out a Stephen Hawking quote, and I believe the quote is something along the lines of, Eli, I'll be Stephen Hawking, you be Matt Powell, okay? So
100% accurate. No exaggeration.
And I'm not going to do the Stephen Hawking voice, don't worry. Stephen Hawking said, because there are laws such as gravity, the universe can and will create itself from nothing.
That's stupid. That's retarded. Literally what he says.
Yes.
In his own documentary. He went through his documentary and he was like, guys, should we keep the slur? You remember when I yelled a slur by myself in an empty church for those 20 minutes before my doctor's appointment? In the movie, out the movie, I'm in a room alone, so let's vote in. Yeah! How you doing back there, Steve?
We're going to keep all of this, including the slur.
God. What's so funny is that Eli had kind of warned me that this was coming, this part of the movie was coming. So I'm at my hotel the other day, and I'm watching the movie, and I get to this part, and I was like, he gives the Stephen Hawking quote, and then he comes back and he just goes, that's stupid. And I had to pause the thing, and I'm laughing for 15 minutes. I'm texting Eli, right? I'm saying oh, dude, I don't know where you are in the hotel, but I'm sure you can hear me laughing. I just got to the part. And then I turn it back on, and the very next line is, that's retarded. I'm like, dude, this gets so much worse. Also, can anyone explain this? I've never heard this quote before, the one about the gnats and the camels.
This was amazing. Oh, Steve Anderson. I think Steve Anderson made this up.
I think I looked it up. It's actually a real thing.
It's a real thing?
So atheists are straining at a gnat and swallowing a camel.
He comes back to swallowing camels a lot.
He goes to that as well, yeah.
Yeah.
But apparently that means penny wise, dollar stupid.
Okay.
So at least Christians are consistent about being stupid. for all the money amounts? I don't know. I didn't understand the point he was making, but that's what that means. Yeah.
All right, and then we have a quote from Romans. This is Romans 1:22, the professing themselves to be wise, they became fools thing. And that's accompanied by that him and the raging atheist guy. By the way, every time we see him talking to the raging atheist guy, it's in a black and white filter. So he's like, yeah, I talked to an atheist, but it was in black and white, y'all. It was pretty scary.
It's in a black and white filter, and Matt's pile of paper notes is in every single shot, along with his empty water bottle. Like, I wanted his snack to be there. He's like pushing a Lunchables out of the frame. Mom says I can make pizza anytime.
And by the way, we're like 25 minutes into the movie at this point. He just does like a best of reel.
Yep.
Right? Like they just have this quote up there and they keep showing shots of the, that we've already seen of him talking to the raging atheist and the raging atheist looking stupid. Didn't take much. And then we get part 3. Part 3 is the flood.
Time for some real science.
Yeah. So the first thing he brings up, and if you've been doing, if you've talked to a lot of Christians or creationists, you've heard this one before. He starts talking about petrified trees that are in multiple strata of rock, right? And these are called polystrate fossils. They're uncommon, but they usually come about in floodplains or near volcanic or near volcanoes, etc. But apparently, Kent Hovind thinks the only way this could happen is if one tree stood in one place for several million years as the sediments piled up on top of it. And he says, I used to teach geology in schools. I should know. And I'm like, yeah, you should.
Well,
you really should.
He actually points out that he's surrounded by geology books. And I was like, oh, maybe look in one of your geology books.
Yeah, there
That'll
you go.
explain that to you.
I know my shit. Look at all these books I've got around me. Don't touch them. Don't touch them. They're just for show.
There's ain't no words in any of these.
They're just like model home geology books.
Yeah,
that are
right.
empty.
They're just cardboard cutouts and shit. Yeah.
One of them fell open the other day. I thought I caught a Hainton. It was terrifying.
Also, of course, they give us the argument of that the flood must have happened because there are seashells at the top of Mount Everest, which, of course, I mean, if you know anything about how the earth itself works, there's no reason for that to be mysterious to you. Of course, it really fucks their argument up that all the mountains don't have seashells on them, right?
Also, what do they imagine? Like, the flood covered everything, and then one crab was like, fuck it.
I'm going all the way.
Where's that TV movie?
Because it was there.
Fuck you, atheism.
Also,
I want to be reincarnated as Steve Anderson.
And also, he says at one point here, he goes like, Steve Anderson comes on and he's like, and if the flood story isn't true, why were the Sumerians talking about it too? I'm like, because that's where you ripped it off from. Right? That's where you got the fucking idea. He also says that every religion and every culture has a flood myth. Not fucking true.
But ours is true. You see him catch himself. He's like, everyone's got a flood myth, and we have a flood trueness. Oh, Stevie. You almost got me, Steve.
You almost got me. Yeah. Then we get a quote from 2 Peter that basically says, eventually people are going to notice that all the shit we said was going to happen didn't happen. Those guys will be assholes. And also, by the way, for some reason at this point, because up until now, all the quotes are read by Matt Powell, but they got like a really good quote reader guy for this, like he's all British and raspy and everything. Like they really wanted to go all out for 2 Peter.
He
apparently
found some public domain 2 Peter.
Yeah, right. And now, just to make sure that this is truly a scathing atheist best of, Adam Fannin shows up.
Now, for those of you who don't remember, Adam Fannin came across our desk for narrating I'm going to say fantasy, where a gay waiter invades him and his wife's dinner date, and he has to be like, get out of here, you homo! And the waiter's like, nyas! And runs away. But in this movie, he's just there to have trouble modulating the volume of his voice.
Well, and Adam Fannin's argument is amazing. He's like, animals die all the time. I ain't never seen one turn into a fossil.
The whole earth was buried underwater.
If you look at the fossil record, you'll see a whole bunch of deer in backstroke position. Actually, that's how you know it's a flood.
Flood.
And now it's time to get truly stupid.
Now is when that starts.
Right. This was the you may not have realized that, but that was the high intellect part of the program. Now we get to part 4, Dinosaurs and Man. Yeah, and he starts this one off, and I had never heard of this before. I'm assuming a lot of you have, but he starts off talking about these Incan burial stones that had dinosaurs carved into them. And I immediately thought that this was going to turn out to be like this shit that they say, oh, look, they had ancient aliens on the walls in the Egyptian tombs and shit. You know, when you look at it and you're like, no, that's kind of just like a deer, but it's not drawn well, right? But no, this is even fucking worse. This is a known goddamn hoax where somebody had carved all this shit into rocks, fucking buried it for 15 minutes, and then sold it to Christian missionaries as proof that dinosaurs and men lived together.
Yep. No, that's real. A farmer in Peru, drew in crayon on some rocks.
Yeah.
Baked them in literal cow shit to get a patina around them, and then sold them to a Christian person for a bunch of money.
But also, okay, but even if this isn't a fucking hoax, right? If this argument is true, what you're saying is that future archaeologists will know that we truly did live in a world populated with garden gnomes. Right?
If we look here at this ancient high school notebook of Eli Bosnick, Wolverine was his dad and wanted lots of hugs. Or maybe not his dad. I mean, maybe parents were different then. Not his dad. We just turned the page. Not his dad. Oh, you didn't write some slash erotica when you were in middle school about the comic book character Wolverine? Seriously, did anyone? Okay, one person. That's all I need.
Yeah, there we go.
2 people, it's a kink. 20, it's a religion. Pee on my feet, Wolverine.
All right.
I don't want to spoil the album. It's coming out. You'll hear it.
All right. Now, of course, if we're going to establish, though, that the dinosaurs and men live together, we're going to have to knock down that silly-ass asteroid nonsense that the scientists always tell you. So they pretend, for the purposes of this movie, that the scientific theory is, I shit you not, this is their explanation of it, that an asteroid came through and beheaded all the tall dinosaurs as it came down. That's literally what they seem to think the argument is. That dinosaurs were just... And one too few times, apparently. And then we get... there's a very brief moment here where he has an actual atheist. This is Godless Engineer. This a YouTuber you guys might know. He did an interview with Matt Powell. During this interview, Matt Powell, by the way, claimed that you can tell that dinosaurs and man coexisted because there are pictures of the pterosaurs that fought on the rebel side during the Civil War. For realsies.
He thought they were just on the south side.
Yeah,
though.
right. Yes.
Racist dinosaurs.
Racist pterodactyls.
Heritage, not hate. I'm here at Thanksgiving with my weird kids.
Now, and I have to say, to Godless, in Godless Engineer's defense here, so he's talking about what I assume the Incan stones were, right? He's hearing this argument from Matt Powell and saying okay, yeah, I've seen a lot of this crap where people will pull up some Aztec pottery and say, look, dinosaurs. And it's no, not really. It's just they weren't super good at drawing things with, anatomical precision back then.
So you're saying ancient Aztec drawings on a rock with a crayon weren't amazing artists? That's racist, is what that is. That's racist.
That's the argument. Steve Anderson actually comes out and basically says that. He's like, well, then I guess bad artists have been around for a long time. Yeah, they predate good artists kind of by necessity, right? And then we get, and I love how they all bring this shit up, right? Every single one of these that we've ever watched always brings up the behemoth quote from the Bible. Right? About how its power comes from its navel and its tail moves like a cedar, like a dinosaur.
From its navel.
It's lizard navel.
From one of those dinosaurs with an umbilical cord that goes into the egg and hatches a different dinosaur. Like that.
And he says, a lot of people read that quote and assume it's talking about an elephant. But elephants' tails don't move like cedars.
Nothing moves like a cedar.
Cedars don't move!
That's a tree.
That's... But I love Steve Anderson's the first one I've seen who's, again, we've seen this 15 times in different documentaries that we've watched, but Steve Anderson is the only one who doesn't notice cut the goddamn quote off before it gets really silly. Right, so he keeps going. His tail moves like a cedar. Its bones were of brass and iron. It was the will of God incarnate. It's like, dude, let's go back to the tree bit. You were doing so much better with the tree tail bit.
Elephants don't have bones made of iron, idiots.
Also, and then there's this great moment, by the way, I have got to point this out, because Kent Hovind says at one point, he's like, they use these dinosaurs to indoctrinate children. So even before a child knows how to read, they know more about history than me. Fuck. That's how smart I am. Jesus. Oh yeah, and then he talks about how he's got a whole ministry that uses dinosaurs to make kids believe in Jesus.
He says scientists have used God's greatest preachers, the dinosaur, against him. And I think dinosaur preachers are a great idea.
I wonder what that would be like.
Excuse me, sir. Do you have a moment to talk about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ?
No, man, it's Saturday morning. I'm just trying to get
Sir, can I just ask you one question? Just one question. Do you know when you'll die?
Oh, God, look, I know where you guys are going with this.
For instance, do you know that at any moment, an angry Tyrannosaurus Rex could rip your head off?
That's true. That's true. That's
Then you'd be dead.
You'd be dead at that point.
Why don't you come in, boys? Come on in. I'll make you a drink.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Lovely.
Coffee?
No, thank you. I'm a dinosaur.
I will have a coffee.
See, we have to close the parentheses. Otherwise, you guys would be totally fucking lost. All right.
Why are the dinosaurs talking about the movie? This is weird.
All right, well, I'll tell you what.
Which one's Lucinda?
All right, well, I know we've given you guys a lot of bullshit to process, so we're going to pause for a minute to let you catch up. But first, let me give Act 3 the hard sell. Can Matt Powell use the potty like a big boy? Who's a good boy? Is Matt a good boy? Find out the answers to these questions and more when we return for the gelastic conclusion of Science, Falsely So-Called. So, by this point in our show, it's fairly obvious that the raging atheist was not the best person for the job. What you may not have known is that he spent a full year preparing for this conversation with our very own Heath Enright. Here now, for the first time, are the tapes of those training sessions.
And so, if Matt Powell says, where did the shells, the Grand Canyon come from? I want you to say...
I don't know. It's probably God.
Nope. Okay. Literally anything but that. We just went over this.
It's a tie whether or not there's God.
Nope. It's not better. We just said don't do that. Okay. So when Matt says, so you believe the impossibility that a turtle could just pop out of the air. Your job is to say anything but yes. Do you get it? Don't say yes then.
Got it.
So you would...
I can make a turtle with my mind!
Don't.
Eli is now trying to make a turtle with his mind.
Who's your favorite?
Wolverine.
All right, we just need to go over one more thing, and it's getting ridiculous now. It's like 4 a.m. Let's just try this. We're going to try not saying the word aliens for an entire minute. Do you understand what I just said? Do you? I want you to say it out loud that you understand what I just said.
Yes.
Okay. No questions. Just a minute. You just don't say the word aliens is all you have to do for that entire minute.
Aliens.
Motherfuck.
And we're back. And you can tell by the enthusiasm of that applause that you guys didn't check the Dallas score. Not good, guys. Not good. This was definitely the better way to spend your time. You didn't want to watch that game. And we're back for more of this shit. Just to summarize, so far we've learned that God is real, Stephen Hawking is stupid, and dinosaurs were too the vacuum cleaners back in the day. And now it's time for part 5, simultaneous creation. Now, this is an argument I had not heard before because it's not remotely true and it's stupid. But he found an article in Tech Times.
You don't read Tech Times every day?
The king of science?
He actually says that Tech Times, one of the top science websites. Anyway, this one's not on the top 100, but there's a very poorly written article on there where they misinterpret the shit out of some data and say in the article that 90% of Earth's animals appeared at the same time. Now, this is a shit argument that creationists have jumped all over, despite the fact that it's not at all what the research showed.
Also doesn't matter.
No.
Like, was that in the Bible? Like, and then God created 90% of the animals. And it was 90% good. Yeah. I don't remember that from Genesis.
The other thing about this argument that's so fucking stupid is even if it's right, like the time they're talking about is 200,000 years ago, right? That's significantly older than Earth by their reckoning here. But they say, well, evolutionists will tell you this species is millions of years behind this species and this species is millions of years ahead of this species. This is not what evolutionists would tell you. But he says, no, it looks like they all evolved at the same time. Well, almost all evolved at the same time.
Also, by the way, literally the final sentence of this article that Matt Powell presents as his trump card.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
Yep.
I wrote this down. This is the actual final sentence. The last time such an occurrence took place was 65 million years ago. They're talking about the major extinction event when an asteroid hit the Earth and killed off the dinosaurs and half of all the other species on the planet. End quote. Please don't use this article in a Christian documentary. That would make you stupid.
Yeah, and he says, he's like, okay, so the way this works is that he'll present the argument to us, the audience, and then they'll show him presenting the exact same argument to the raging atheist, and the raging atheist going, man, I don't fucking know. You said you'd give me soup at the end of this.
I want a pillow from a bench.
They put spikes where I sleep.
He says to the raging atheist, he goes, according to this study, it debunks evolution. I'm like, no, I feel like that would have been the lead, right?
It's got a disclaimer. This does not debunk evolution at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we get some idiot fucking up the chicken and an egg question.
He gets it wrong.
They all get it wrong.
You got a 50-50 shot.
Yeah, you can see him working through it and coming to the wrong answer and realizing he's like, so obviously, when we think about that, the answer to which came first, eggs, or the specific animal of the chicken.
Wolverine.
Well, and what I love about this, okay, even if God created all the animals, it was kind of a dick move not to start the chicken as an egg, though, right? Cause then all of a sudden there's this full-grown fucking chicken going, I don't even know how to chicken, man. What the hell? You gonna weaned me into this shit? But no, it was the chicken, obviously the chicken. And then they throw out a quote from Stephen Gould. Now, this is a quote that anyone who has argued with creationists will be familiar with. Stephen Gould said, quote, the absence of fossil evidence for intermediary stages has been a persistent and nagging problem for evolution. Now, Stephen Gould should have known better than to ever fucking say that, right? Because, goddammit, all fossils are intermediary. It's like, I've never seen anyone who's an intermediary age. Give me a fucking break. But the other thing is, like, the guy who, co-founded punctuated equilibrium is arguing against gradualism in this quote, right? If you know anything at all about Stephen Gould, you know what's going on here. Surprise, surprise, they don't know anything at all about Stephen Gould.
Also, if you just went off the headshot that they use of Stephen Gould in this movie, you would think he is an opera-themed prostitute.
And he literally needed a glass of water for that sentence. In the shot, he's holding a glass of water, pouring sweat for his one sentence quote. It's the best.
Well, and he also says, they also throw out there like, Darwin said that there must be missing links, but we never found any. Because once we find them, they're no longer missing.
That's a link. You're describing a link.
That's how missing works. I mean, I get how you don't know how evolution or the Big Bang works, but you know how missing works. All right. So now Matt Powell's going to give us another science lesson. He says, has anyone ever observed an animal change from one kind to another kind?
Did you ever watch an amoeba turn into a person? Personally, no. Exactly.
Turn into a different animal now.
Oh my God.
Wolverine. Nope.
Oh.
You got excited for a second.
I can show
Also,
you
there's this amazing moment within. No, Eli, me and the listeners at home will wait.
I was miming Wolverine peeing on my feet. Should have come to the live show.
So, all right, there's also this amazing moment in this bit. He's talking to the raging atheist guy, and the two of them are trying desperately to remember which kind of bird is associated with Darwin. They're like, well, you remember Darwin had them pigeons.
Shit. No, it's what
Doves.
are they?
Doves? Was it?
Wolverine.
Two
no.
for flinching. Two for flinching.
That would have been closer than they actually got. Yeah. He goes, at one point, Steve Anderson cuts in here too to tell us how stupid we are. And he's like, you know, these atheist idiots, they've never done this research themselves. And that's true. I've never been to the Galapagos. I'm taking this shit on faith. He says, sometimes when this is amazing too. He goes, sometimes when I talk to evolutionists, they don't even know what I'm talking about.
Can you believe that? Me, Steven Anderson, shouting at them as they try to use a urinal. And they say, how did you get in my home?
Urinal in his home?
Yeah.
Right.
They have fancy houses.
I kind of want a urinal in my home now.
Yeah, man.
Patreon.com/godawful.
Heath needs urinal.
We'll put a urinal in Heath's home where he doesn't want one. Oh, the kitsch guys.
I mean, I'm going to use it, but
But still.
I kind of like it now.
I'm going to rest my longboard in here. I'm 38.
37. I do have a longboard.
So,
It's pretty sweet.
Crushing it.
I'm doing very well in life.
and of course, at this point, he has to show us a bunch of evolutionists failing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is where we get the Lawrence Krauss clip, where basically some Christian broadcaster has Lawrence Krauss in, and they go, explain to me in a soundbite how the universe exists. Go!
Because I'm smarter than you.
That's
why.
really, yeah.
That's why. Yeah. You've asked me how, like a toddler, like 10 times in a row during this TV interview. It's because I'm smarter than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course they explain here that no law of science says things come from nothing. Now, that's not true, but no law of science allows for the existence of their God either, right? So again, is this the standard we're going by now? Because if it is, I'm happy to make that trade with them. All right, so let's see. We also get that evolutionists can't explain abiogenesis. The same way that geology can't explain where baseball came from. That's how you know geology's bullshit.
Steve Anderson actually says, I don't want to see an evolution chart.
Oh, God.
I want to see a picture of nothing turning into a single cell organism. So, like, he wants to see a step-by-step drawing of Circle? Like, oh, okay.
I get it
All
now.
right.
Steve, follow along. And I lost you. You crying?
I also love
You're
how
crying
he
real
seems
loud,
to,
Steve.
I
You
love
got
how
the
he seems
double
to think
rivulets.
that we think that cells came into existence without, like, you know, any material
Yeah, just
or
like,
anything.
bing!
Yeah, right.
And he ends by yelling, amoebas are fucking complicated.
Yes!
That's the end of that speech, by the way.
I thought
The
he was
best.
about to like defend his buddy who just got broken up and his buddy's an amoeba. He's like, amoebas are complicated. They have feelings. They laugh. They cry. Dave the amoeba, everybody.
Eli is now doing a amoeba impression.
That was an amoeba as a stool fucking comedian.
Oh, I thought he was fucking Wolverine. I'm glad.
I thought the amoeba was going to kill himself.
Because he's an amoeba, he doesn't have a neck, so he slips through. He gets sadder.
And if you didn't get to see the
Should've come to the
suicidal
live
amoeba
show.
pantomime, it's because you didn't spring for the fucking ticket. All right. So, and of course, Kent Hovind chimes in here to tell us that the Big Bang is not just regular stupid, it's extremely stupid. He says, evolution, that's extremely stupid. He says... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's the Big Bang that's extremely stupid. The big evolution is a different kind of stupid. And the way he backs this up, by the way, is to say, well, you know, nobody's ever seen a star form.
With their GoPro.
Yeah,
Like, what?
that takes 10 million goddamn years.
I'll time you now. Go.
Yes.
Form a star.
Do. Time up.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's
God's real.
There's also this great moment where, like, we've got the four yes men sitting around the table and stuff, and the one guy says, you know, the atheists get so mad at us for using the same examples all the time, but until they refute those examples, we're going to keep using them. Can anyone refute them? And he looks to the other three Christians in the room, and he goes, exactly.
They might as well pan around the empty room. Nobody.
Yes.
He's doing the Christian version of your friend who just got his ass kicked and everyone's trying to like figure out how he didn't get his ass kicked. He's just like, yeah, thank you for the tissue. If I had gone crazy, he'd be dead right now.
I
you
got
know?
a good one in there for a second. No, you
Yeah.
didn't.
Did you see? Oh, I pooped so hard.
A lot. Do you need help?
Steve will get it. Thanks, buddy. You're the hero Gotham needs.
All right, so then we get...
Steve Anderson is Batman. I am the knight! You either live long enough to become a villain, or you die. What?
Now you're nailing the Steve Anderson doing it, yeah. All right, so this is where we learn, and I didn't realize this, I've been an atheist for a while, you'd think I'd know this. We realized that the atheist position, when it comes to seashells in the Grand Canyon, is that atheism and God are tied on that one.
The raging atheist not doing the best job representing us. He's like, okay, look, we'll agree there's been two sides on the Grand Canyon.
Right.
Yours,
Right.
mine, and ours. Every Friday on TBS, 9 p.m. You gonna give me a purple mattress or what?
And then Matt Powell trots out another stupid, tired creationist trope about misinterpreting science, where he says, he pulls out a picture and he says to the raging atheist, he's like, explain this to me. This is a picture of Tyrannosaurus blood.
And the raging atheist is like, I want a lawyer. I didn't do it. It was me.
And again, if you've argued with creationists, you've encountered this before. It's not a hoax. It's just a mistake, right? It's somebody who found a Tyrannosaurus fossil that had some ostrich blood in it, right? They sequenced the DNA in it and they're like, okay, either Tyrannosauruses had ostrich DNA or this isn't Tyrannosaurus blood.
Or I'm Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, right. Also, like, I don't know who this guy is. I have him just down as weird old guy staring at young girls in a mall.
Roy Moore?
Damn close.
That's what he did.
Yeah, no, he didn't just stare. He didn't stop at staring, no.
It'd be great if he just stared. Yeah.
So, yeah, that would have been a step up. But this guy...
Stare at some young girls in the mall.
Yeah, that didn't really fit in with the cadence, Eli. So he chimes in. He gives us this little nugget. He goes... He says, humanists don't believe in the Bible, so why should we trust humanists about what the Bible says? Anyway, let me explain evolution to you some more. Well done, sir. And then, of course, it's time for us to marvel at just how right the Bible got all this cosmology. For example, the earth does hang on nothing. Boom, QED.
And he starts to form a list, and then he realizes he only has two. He's like, the Lord said that he would hang the earth in the heavens. The Lord said he would hang the earth in the heavens. How many times do I say it before it's a list?
One more.
No, come on. Let's not sell them short. They also had the fact that that the Bible knew that the earth was a circle. How could the Bible know the earth was a circle?
It couldn't, because it's not.
No, it's not.
And this is my personal favorite part of the movie. This is where they just show a shot of Aaron Ra.
Yes.
Now,
No audio.
no audio.
Now, Aaron's really good at talking, but Aaron, you're here tonight, right? And if for you at home, yeah, exactly. We've all got to admit, and Aaron, you know this, a still shot of Aaron Ra is a great point for Christianity, right? You're just like, wow. So they've got a wizard on their side? What's the deal?
Shit.
He's also a pirate.
Also, I didn't realize this until we watched this movie. There are like 700 videos of Aaron Ra sitting on Matt Powell's face and punching him in the balls until he vomits. So if you're ever having a bad day and you just want to sit back and listen to Aaron Ra be like, Matt, don't throw up into your own mouth. Do it.
By the way, for what it's worth, I've told him before it's pronounced Aaron. He gets Heath's name wrong all the time. Don't take it personal.
Ducks.
A lot.
Yeah, no, but I
So close. You wanted to do it so bad.
All right, and then of course we get some more best of, right? We get some more highlights of his best burns against that homeless atheist guy, and then it becomes a god awful movie to the second power, right? Because they drop in a clip from Expelled. Ben Stein's talking to Richard Dawkins, and this clip is my favorite clip from Expelled, where he's talking to Richard Dawkins, and then suddenly in voiceover, Ben Stein comes up and he says, "Wait a minute, did Richard Dawkins just say X?" And I'm like, why didn't you say that live, man, when he could have answered? Why'd you have to add that in post?
Cuts to a shot of Ben Stein walking away from a fight with his wife. You're fat like your mother. What? No, I did that in voiceover.
And then
Aaron Ra's headshot.
It's Aaron. See what I mean? It doesn't matter how many times you tell him. All right. Then we move on to the penultimate subheading of the film. This is part 6, professing themselves to be wise.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So, and this part starts off, okay, so Matt Powell is doing some hardcore research, and we can tell because of the backdrop here, he's in a Barnes & Noble.
In the fiction section.
Yes, he is.
He's literally in the fiction section because he's an idiot.
He did not have permission to film here. You can see the camera being hidden under someone's coat, and he's just like, be cool.
Pretend we're looking at books. And by the way, we see the Barnes & Noble in the same creepy black and white that we see when he's talking to the atheist guy. Because apparently, like, bookstores are also scary to Christians. So, and his voiceover, while he's doing this, is he says, after talking to many atheists about their worldview, and I'm like, wait, many? Why are we only seeing the one then, Matt? Why are you only showing us the one? Did the others all whip your ass? I want to see like a 9-year-old girl walking out of there with Matt Powell going, well, that was fucking easy. What the hell? He's just like, we're going to have to find a homeless guy or something. I'm sorry, y'all. But he explains that after talking to many atheists about their worldview, he's realized that we don't even know what our worldview is, which is was a sad thing to learn. And then, of course, we go on to Steven Anderson angrily not understanding cosmology again.
He's so angry about it. You know who doesn't become inconsolably furious by their own words?
Who's that?
Science teachers.
No.
Yeah. He is so angry, though. He's screaming again.
Oh, my God. So he's talking about like, there can't be a singularity because that violates the second law of thermodynamics. And of course it fucking doesn't, right? Because we're saying all the energy was in the one place. But you know what does violate that law would be a God that says, let there be light in the universe existed. That would violate thermodynamics. But no, instead of dwelling on that, we just get Steven Anderson getting increasingly yelly. He says, now he's yelling about, he's like, imagine looking at this world and thinking it came about by accident. The shot they're showing as he says, this is the Manhattan skyline. Nobody thinks that occurred naturally, Steve.
Steve thinks there's like an extension of the monkey to human picture where like the human slowly gets bigger and bigger, squarer and squarer.
Then gets attacked by the Jews.
God.
Turns into Donald Trump's America.
Oh, now we're fucking depressed, Eli. Thank you. So,
Dying amoeba.
Suicidal Amoeba makes his second appearance
Getting
in the
its
show.
feet peed on.
If you would like a suicidal amoeba plushie, we are selling them at the back. We have 4. They are illegal.
Yeah, now the thing is their actual size, so you'll have to trust us that you got one. So, okay, and now it's time it's time for them to talk about Richard Dawkins, and let's face it, Richard has given them some ammunition.
All right. But old people don't count, first of all. That doesn't count. Like, even if they do, though, like, maybe Christianity shouldn't bring up the pedophilia thing, which is what they do here.
Yeah, right. They talk about when he said he couldn't condemn mild pedophilia. And I'm not going to defend that fucking quote, but I will point out that what he was talking about was his own molestation, which is a little bit different than saying, no, y'all go out and molest some kids, right?
Right.
That would be Catholic.
Exactly. Don't bring that up. It's like having OJ take the stand.
Yeah.
Like, don't bring that up in your movie when you're Christian.
Well, but then they say, like, they're like, well, these atheists can't even think of a way to condemn pedophilia, but the Bible is consistent over time about its morals. Yeah, the book about the guy that raped a 14-year-old so he could kill and torture her son? That book?
That's consistent.
It
Noah.
is. Yeah, right.
Not even close to mild.
Yeah.
Hardcore. The Subway guy didn't have that shit. Did you guys not hear? Oh, I got some bad news about the Subway guy. Do you remember the Subway guy? He lost a bunch of weight, and then he had a bunch of child porn.
So,
there was a day at Subway headquarters. This is important. There was a day at Subway headquarters where someone got a call, and they were like, hi, yeah, Jared, what's up, buddy? You what? I'm sorry, say that again. You fucking what? How many? Doesn't matter how many. Terrible, stupid question,
It's weird
Jared.
that I asked.
Cool. No, this is great. Well, I'll tell you what, Jared. It's a good thing I'm an amoeba.
Full amoeba circle. Well done.
Full amoeba, sir.
well done, sir. Well done.
Full membrane.
All right. So then we get, okay, so again, they're making the wrong point. They're making the point they don't think they're making. So now he gets a clip, he throws out a clip of Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about the simulation hypothesis, right? as a way of demonstrating what a bunch of fucking loons we are, right? That we all think we're living in a simulation, which is not what he was saying. But still, the point here that you should take away from this is, yes, your religion is dumber than the idea that we're all NPCs in someone else's video game, right? Like, that is more likely than your silly ass religion.
But Noah, not to correct you, he doesn't call it a video game, does he?
No, he does not.
What does he call a video game?
Matt Powell says, and I quote, Neil deGrasse Tyson thinks we're all in a computer machine.
Aww. Computer machine.
He's 22.
He's 22. He can drink.
And make movies.
He can vote.
Oh, no.
If he can find stamps.
Twice in California.
Yes, huh? All right. So, yeah, and this is, of course, where we start to see, because you can tell he's winding down here because he starts to show, like, himself, like, shaking hands with all the people that he's interviewed as they walk off. Interestingly enough, they have a shot of him shaking hands with his cameraman and his sound guy as though to say, I sprung for a cameraman and a sound guy.
I was going to film the cast party, but Mom said we couldn't.
He even says at this point, and I love this so much, he says, like, in this documentary, we've only scratched the surface of the evidence that disproves evolution. There's a lot more smart shit I could say. I'm not going to say it, but I could go on and on saying smart shit.
In this movie that I'm talking in now, hello, today, we won the movie this day.
Score? Movie? 1. Atheism.
Don't
2.
say 2.
Nope.
Oh, no. All right. And now at this point, the movie is actually over, but it goes on for another like 8 minutes for reasons that I am completely baffled by, right? Because it comes up here and it goes, Part 7, the problem of evil.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Right. I thought, wow, he's going to bring up the problem of evil. I wonder how bad he'll fuck this up. Right? How bad will his excuse be?
Very bad.
It will be non-existent. Right? He will present the problem of evil and then go, bye. So,
this is like if the last 10 minutes of my biopic were just like, Chapter 7, Josh Gad.
So he brings up this pastor, and it's a sad story. The pastor had a kid who had some genetic condition that like gave him a very short and miserable life. Right? So this is a good example of the problem of evil, right? Why would God create this kid just so he could torture him for 8 or 9 years and then kill him and make his parents miserable and give him this terrible life? And if you're wondering how he's going to answer this, again, he's not.
Credits.
Yes, he's going to answer him with the fucking credits. He's basically going to say like, all right, you can disagree with me if you want, but then what you're saying is this fucked up kid isn't in heaven. Asshole.
And I think one of the points he was making was like, this kid just been tortured for years of his life, then died. Like, he prayed for death, and it worked.
Yes!
God is love.
Yes!
Also, the dad who is telling the story about his son has the best name of a ministry I have ever heard. He is the pastor of Living in Spite of Ministries. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sunday. Fuck you. Get on up here. We don't have any of those fucking Jesus crackers, but I stole this box of Wheat Thins from my mother's house. It's old. We're doing this for spite. Get up here. Mleh. 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 And the box is empty. Get the fuck out of here. See you next week. Living in spite of you, ministries.
It's like Rage Against the Machine, Killing in the Name of, but reversed. That's so weird. Name of your ministry.
So basically what this preacher tells the story about his kid, and his kid was miserable and then he died because God's great. And he says, our dying son was just another opportunity for us to love Jesus. And I'm like, he could have sent a note. Right? Just a nice little note would have done the trick. And then, quite suddenly, the movie's over.
Yep.
Right? That's it. It's just like, yeah, no, I get it. You didn't know how to love Jesus, so he tortured a child for 11 years. I get it.
And the best part is the last 20 minutes of this movie are a sermon, and all of our notes are exactly the same. It's stay tuned for the Bible way to heaven, and all of our no, Matt, you can't make me.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. You'll never know.
Done now.
My AOL hours are up. I am done.
Time to shut down the old computer machine, Matt. Sorry.
All right, so guys, that is going to do it for episode 178. We're going to bring that to a merciful close. But once again, I want to thank everyone who showed up here. I want to thank everybody who came to the VIP dinner. I want to thank everybody who came to Platinum Night. I want to thank all of you for coming out and missing that very terrible Dallas Cowboys ass kicking for this. And, of course, the hugest thanks of all to this guy right here who's been working his ass off. In case you're curious, this is Morgan. This is our audio engineer, Morgan.
Momo!
And if it wasn't for him, you'd never hear any of us. Also want to give a big thanks to Anna and Lucinda, who are at the back. If you haven't had a chance to check out the merch desk, we've got a lot of merch for you there. And, of course, most of all, we want to thank Matt Powell for being a fucking idiot in public.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Powell! Yeah. Can you imagine?
And on that note...
He just kills himself like an amoeba.
We pull back the curtain, he's just hanging back there. Oh, rough. Aaron, can you zoop him into something small we can bury?
And a moment too late, Andrew's giving me the wrap this shit up. And on that note, we'll leave you with the Breakfast Club close.
The raging atheist died of starvation when the government shut down and took away his food stamps for way too long. MAGA. That's real. It got real.
Matt Powell went on to listen to this episode of God Awful Movies. You know he did. Hey, Matt, fuck you! Doodly-doo. Thanks for the cue, Morgan. Great job. You're killing it.
Morgan's mad at us. We made him wear a bassinet thing. We carried him around today, and he got mad.
It was more of a papoose.
But he couldn't get out. It was a fun... We'll talk. You'll see the pictures.
The preceding podcast was a production of Puzzle and a Thunderstorm, LLC. Copyright 2019. All rights reserved.